Sri Lanka resist, and then the evening showers take over in Colombo, meaning it's a little bit of frustration for India, although they remain in the driver's seat in this second test. Sri Lanka 8 down, India leading by 238. Let's unpack day three of the second test on Cricinfo Matchday with Cheteshwar Pujara. Prajeet, thank you for your time as always. It's
Thank you.
good for a series when you can talk about both the teams. And I think today, for the first time on the eighth day of the series, we can begin with the Sri Lanka good before anything else, because it's
Yeah,
been a day of Sri Lankan resistance, and it's a resistance that was led by the two freshest faces in their setup. We have Sonal Dinusha carrying on from where he left off in Gaul, and Pasindu
yeah.
Sooriyabandara, who's effectively on debut, having faced that one ball as concussion sub. How good were they? How impressed are you by their batting?
Well, I'll start with Pasindu because we have spoken about Sonal and we have seen how good he is. But Pasindu, I think, playing his second game in this series, I mean, ideally, looking at his performance and the way he batted, I was very surprised that he wasn't part of the first Test match. Although he got to bat in the second innings because of Chandimal's injury, and he came in as a concussion sub. But the way he batted in this particular Test match and in this innings, he looks solid. The way he defends the ball against seamers, he leaves the ball really well. He's good against spinners as well. So very impressed, and it's not just in Sri Lankan conditions because the kind of technique he has shown in this particular innings, I think, is all condition player. Even when Sri Lanka goes abroad, whether they play in England, South Africa, wherever they play outside Asia, I think Pasindu is someone who has impressed a lot with his technique, his temperament, and the kind of technique he has showed. I think he will be a long-term asset for the Sri Lankan team. And I hope that he finds his place in the playing 11 going forward. And talking about Sonal, I think I've said this here before that for me, I think he is the most important player or the most important batter. Comparing it from the both the teams, I know Devdutt Padikkal has batted really well. Even Dhruv Jurel batted really well from the Indian team. But for me, I think Sonal, the kind of performance he has put in this series and the kind of bowling attack he's facing. Look at Mohammad Siraj, Prasidh Krishna, Ravindra Jadeja, Manav Suthar. First game, Kuldeep was also playing. And despite having a tough attack, he has performed in all three innings which he has batted.
Yeah, he's crossed 80 every time, looking good for what would be his second 100 in as many tests. On the flip side, though, from a Sri Lankan batting perspective, Fuji, what are the learnings for the other batters? I mean, you see others, the likes of Kamindu Mendes and Niroshan Dikvela, when they looked at their dismissals from this innings, felt like you didn't put enough of a price on your wickets.
Yeah, and look, they are not conventional test batter. They are not going to play in a conventional way. That the Sri Lankan team will have to accept. But despite that, you still need to understand the phases of the game. And Dickwella, I'm sure he had worked on his game. Uh, he knew that he will be facing some bouncers, and his strategy was very simple. That he wanted to leave the ball this time around. He didn't want to. Uh, just try and move out of the crease or try and play any pull shots. His game plan was simple, but despite that, it seems like there is a bit of trouble when it comes to short pitch deliveries. And Siraj was uh, very well aware about it, and he kept bowling those bouncers against him, and eventually he got his reward. And when you look at his dismissal, sometimes you tend to feel that he might be a little unlucky, but he's exposing his technique against short pitch deliveries, and that's where Dick Villa will have to work on if he carries on playing Test cricket for Sri Lanka. Kamendu Mendes, I think he's an aggressive player, so he has to stick to his game. But at the same time, you also need to understand who is the best bowler when it comes to India's bowling. And Prasidh in this particular match has been fantastic with the kind of deliveries he has been bowling, especially the back of lane deliveries, and following it up with the short pitch delivery. So Kamindu, I think, didn't make the right selection when he tried playing that pull shot and got caught at fielder. I think Ravindra Jadeja was there between square leg and mid wicket. So I thought that wasn't the right decision. So looking back at that scenario, I think the batters, Sri Lankan batters, Kamindu Mendes and Dikwela, could have made slightly better decisions.
All right, take us further into your thoughts and your first impressions of Saransh Jain and his first day as a test match bowler, because from the outside it looked like in his first spell of 6 overs he was getting decent flight, some good drift, but then looked a little off color after that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would agree because one is he's playing his first test match, so he was nervous. He started off well, uh, but the problem with Kookaburra ball is if you haven't played enough cricket with Kookaburra, you don't find that grip, you don't find that nip, and as a spinner, it becomes slightly more challenging to control Kookaburra compared to when you have played a lot of first-class cricket with SG ball. You get better grip when you're holding the ball. You are a bit more confident in flighting the ball. With Kookaburra, I think it becomes a little more challenging, and his I think it looks like his strength is flighting the ball, but for some reason he was just going with slightly flatter trajectory. His pace was little more. I thought he was better off bowling slightly slower and giving that flight in the air, which we didn't see for a long time. He did that early in his spell, but after that he wasn't confident enough of doing that.
The clear standout bowler for India on day three, of course, was Prasidh Krishna. The occasional loose delivery, but he looked great for large parts, especially in the morning. Was also touching 140. What did you make of him? How did he make the best use of the conditions?
I thought he was exceptional, not just today, but even yesterday, the kind of lengths which he was hitting. And this is his strength, hitting that length between 6 to 8 meters. And on this pitch, you are getting that extra bounce, you are getting some lateral movement as well. So, Prasid, yeah, not just even in this game, even in the first test match, I was impressed that he was willing to pitch the ball up. And if you look at his pitching in the first test match, it was close to 6 to 5 meters, which is not his ideal length. But he was willing to pitch the ball up when there wasn't much help from the pitch. So very impressed by with the way Prasidh has bowled in the entire series. And Siraj, I think if you compare both, Siraj is a bit more experienced, but Prasidh
Mm.
was looking like he's the main bowler. He's the go-to bowler for Shubman Gill.
Did you feel like Siraj did appear to be at 100%? Could be fitness, could be something else, but he looked a lot slower. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I would agree because if you look at the way he's running in, there might be a bit of niggle. I don't know whether he's fatigued, he's tired, but it looks like his pace has dropped down a bit. He's just focusing on bowling in the right areas. So there might be some issue. I mean, we'll have to wait and watch, but it looked like Siraj wasn't able to bowl with the same nip which he's known for.
And just on Prasid, he got he was used a lot in the first 40 overs. He bowled 13 overs in the first 40. After that, he's only come back when the second new ball came in. Was that period of rest okay for you, or do you think India could have gone to him around the 60th, 70th over, especially when they weren't getting the breakthrough?
I think somewhere close to, yeah, between 55 to 70th over. That is that 15 overs or that hours of play. That is where Prasid could have bowled a couple of overs, maybe not a longer spell. But Shubman was thinking that he wanted to keep Prasid fresh for the second new ball. But I thought that was slightly delayed. And if Prasid had bowled some overs during that I mean, that phase where Sri Lanka was building a partnership, I think Sonal and Kesara was
No one,
batting at the
yeah.
other end. Yeah, that was the time where Prasid could have bowled a couple of overs.
Where it stands after day three, we've got 2 days left, which always comes with the asterisk. We don't know whether we'll get anywhere close to 180 overs. How do you see things panning out? How do India push forward in this game?
Well, I think India is in a position where whatever call India takes tomorrow, if they are in a position to enforce the follow on, I think it will be a tough call because Indian bowlers have already bowled more than 80 overs. Bowlers are tired, especially the seamers, Prasidh Krishna and Siraj. Now, if you get into a position where you can enforce the follow on, can you do that? My answer at this stage is no, you shouldn't enforce the follow on. The reason is there is enough time in the game. I know the weather is around. There might be some rain on day four and day five as well. But you want to keep your bowlers fresh. At this stage, the pitch looks like it's a good pitch to bat on. So if you enforce the follow on, what happens is your fast bowlers who are already tired will have to come and bowl with the new ball. If they don't pick up wickets with the new ball, then there is a lot of pressure on the young spinners, and that is Manav Suthar and Saransh Jain, because Ravindra Jadeja is experienced enough. But uh, to bowl on that pitch on day four, And if you don't pick up wickets on day 4, and if Sri Lanka even ends up getting 200, 250 at the end of day's play without losing too many wickets, if it's they are 3 or 4 wickets down, then there will be a lot of pressure on the Indian team. So I think the ideal scenario would be not to enforce the follow on, try and bat 1.5 sessions, try and look at declaring at T, but try and get as many runs as possible by that time. And then he used the last session on day 4, and probably day 5 will be the day where you expect that the pitch will deteriorate and the spinners will come in play.
All right, let's see how it pans out. Before all of that, they have to get past Sonal Dinusha, which has been a tough challenge through these
Yeah.
first 1.5